Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following content is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. What you're about to hear is the verbatim federal courtroom testimony from the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, as reported by Inner City Press. Picture this, a silent federal courtroom packed with reporters. The bailiff calls out the name, Samuel L. Jackson. The legendary actor steps into the witness box, not to quote lines from his iconic roles, but to deliver testimony that could blow the lid off a scandal involving two of the most powerful men in black entertainment. Sean Diddy Combs stands trial for an alleged criminal enterprise involving sex trafficking and intimidation. Meanwhile, comedian and media mogul Steve Harvey is being accused of enabling a culture that helped keep the operation under wraps. Jackson's testimony draws connections between Diddy's alleged actions and the controversial relationship with Lori Harvey. Jackson began by explaining why he even had these so-called receipts, literal emails, DMs, and texts. 23 years earlier, he said, he made a promise to his newborn daughter, Zoe, that he would never entrust her safety to the same Hollywood machine that peddles dreams at one end and crushes souls at the other. That vow turned him into a quiet archivist. Over the years, he collected whispers, stored screenshots, and built a private timeline of who did what to whom, all in a bid to protect his child from the revolving door predators who hid behind producer credits like Armor. In 2018, Jackson testified, an assistant on the set of Shaft handed him a USB drive after a closed-set night shoot in Brooklyn. Inside was a short audio file of Steve Harvey's voice, coaching Lori Harvey through what Jackson called a high-value etiquette package. In the clip, Steve is heard saying, "Always remember, a mogul is never your boyfriend, he's your board of directors." At first, Jackson assumed it was just cynical, fatherly advice. But a month later, another file arrived, this time from a Bad Boy Entertainment studio engineer. It contained a video clip filmed in a studio kitchen, showing Diddy dictating Lori's public outfit choices while cracking Stevie Wonder jokes at Harvey's expense. Recognizing a pattern he'd seen dismantle half a dozen protégés before, Jackson began flagging the material by date and cross-referencing it with private jet flight logs. He understood that if the pattern ever escalated into violence, authorities would need evidence, not just gossip. So on the stand, he laid it out. One damning exhibit showed Steve Harvey forwarding Diddy a non-disclosure agreement template labeled Lifestyle Partnership Jackson, then played a voice memo in which Diddy referred to Lori as the green room retainer fee. He read the line aloud in his slow, commanding baritone, describing it as damning proof of three things: parental negligence, professional predation, and what he called cross-coastal trafficking of power. Instead of people, though, people were trafficked too. The gallery gasped. Even Judge Ramirez arched an eyebrow. Behind the defense table, Steve Harvey sat frozen, staring into the wood grain as if searching for a trap door to escape the moment cross-examination only sharpened the blade. Defense attorney Wickham tried to discredit Jackson by implying bitterness, suggesting he was simply sore about never signing with Bad Boy Films years ago. Jackson laughed it off. "Sir, I turned down that cameo because the script required me to slap a 21-year-old intern. Turns out, the director just changed the scene to real life." The jury chuckled, and the judge allowed the remark to stand when Wickham pressed further, accusing Jackson of parroting internet rumors. Samuel dropped one last bombshell, an encrypted signal chat from a senior Harvey staffer bragging. Steve Harvey's daughter. It also touches on fresh civil suits threatening Steve Harvey's empire and reveals a disturbing pattern of bullying that Jackson claims goes back years, decades in the making. The next 20 minutes capture every seismic moment from Samuel L. Jackson's first sworn statement to explosive phone logs and a secret body cam video that detonates like a grenade in the gallery. By the time the gavel falls, reputations, and perhaps even freedom, hang in the balance. "It was like I wasn't even a person," she said, "just something he could use whenever the mood struck." She told the court about an incident involving a male escort allegedly urinating on her while she lay frozen on the floor, intoxicated. "There were two men standing over me," she said. "I didn't feel like I could even speak." That testimony left the courtroom shaken to its core, a chilling glimpse into a dark world hidden behind fame and fortune. As Cassie's words echoed through the halls, at that moment, a reporter gasped audibly. A juror looked visibly ill, and the judge called a 5-minute recess. Diddy sat stone-faced, but his foot was twitching, bouncing so fast it blurred. When the court reconvened, Cassie revealed something even darker. She testified that on multiple occasions, she was forced to participate in these rituals during her period. There were no breaks, she was not allowed to opt out. And when things got messy and bloody, even Diddy had staff come in with extra linens. He would join in. Cassie explained that it depended on how comfortable he was with the escort. If he trusted the guy, he'd participate. If not, he just sat there playing God. But what shocked the courtroom wasn't just what happened during the acts, it was what happened afterward. Cassie testified that Diddy would demand she take the male escort's semen and rub it on his chest and nipples. He liked it, she said, through tears. He said it made him feel powerful, thick with disbelief and devastation. Samuel L. Jackson was never supposed to be anywhere near the witness stand. From the start of the Combs-Harvey racketeering and obstruction trial, the courtroom drama had centered around music executives, bodyguards, and a rotating cast of traumatized ex-partners. But on the 8th morning of testimony, a sealed subpoena, quietly requested by federal prosecutors, was unsealed, and into the courtroom stepped the man whose gravel-rich voice has sold more box office tickets than anyone else. Samuel L. Jackson. Live reporters expected a few colorful anecdotes or perhaps a brief comment on industry culture. What they received instead was a 45-minute chronological map, an explosive narrative linking Steve Harvey's social climbing, Sean Diddy, Combs's unchecked dominance, and the commodification of young black women under the polite euphemism of mentoring. This lorepuff link is going to buy another decade of goodwill with the Family Man audience. The courtroom fell silent. Moments later, the morning recess bell rang, sounding more like a fire alarm. After lunch, prosecutors asked Jackson to explain the 8-step grooming ladder he'd referenced in earlier interviews. Jackson nodded and retrieved a leather-bound notebook he called the Red Ledger. A habit, he said, began back in 1993 while filming Jurassic Park. Step 1, he explained, was access via admiration, when an older gatekeeper identifies a talented, often vulnerable youngster and publicly praises them, treating them like a living trophy. Step 2 was co-branding, turning that admiration into marketable intimacy. Jackson continued outlining the grooming ladder with methodical precision. Step 3, he explained, was exclusivity, the moment when parental figures morph into managers and begin cutting off external ties. Phone numbers vanish quietly. Friends from before are phased out. He mapped each step directly onto Lori Harvey's timeline. First came a 2017 radio segment on the Steve Harvey Morning Show, where Harvey lavishly praised Diddy as the blueprint for black entrepreneurship. Just 6 weeks later, Lori's modeling schedule was mysteriously cleared. Jackson testified so she could shadow Bad Boy staff in Los Angeles. "That's your step 2, he said, the co-branding phase in full swing. Next, Jackson displayed an email chain in which Harvey's assistant contacted Vogue Arabia to pull Lori from a scheduled Dubai shoot, citing vague family obligations. Prosecutors seized on this as evidence of the exclusivity clamp, step 3 in action. But Jackson wasn't done. He then took the courtroom further back to 1995, long before Lori was even born. He aimed to show that Steve Harvey's entanglement with Diddy's ecosystem wasn't recent or circumstantial, but part of a long-running alignment of interests, positioning Harvey not as a bystander, but as an enabler embedded in the machinery from the very beginning. Jackson explained that Steve Harvey's involvement with Diddy and the broader entertainment power web didn't begin with Lori. It spawned from Uptown Records politics in the early 90s. He testified that a young Steve Harvey made a deal on the back of a tour bus with Uptown promoter Kirk Burroughs. In exchange for free stand-up gigs, Harvey agreed to conduct softball interviews with rising hip-hop stars. That barter system, Jackson told the court, turned journalists into lobbyists and comedians into brand ambassador. Then came the true shocker. Jackson claimed that Harvey's nationally syndicated talk show wasn't just a platform for feel-good advice and celebrity interviews. It served, in Jackson's words, as a reputation laundering machine, a daytime TV pipeline designed to clean up the image of figures within a network he described as predatory, polished, and profitable. This has been a dramatized retelling for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion was, and still is, strongly advised.